Brilliant. So let's begin. Just like to say thanks for everyone for attending today's webinar, where we'll be finding out more about volunteer impact, the enterprise edition, where volunteers are managed by organisations that have multiple departments or locations or shops and branches, and if this is the right fit for you and your organisation. So just to begin, I am your host. I am Daniel Green, Software Sales Advisor here at Better Impact. My role within Better Impact is supporting small to enterprise-sized organisations, across UK, Europe and Africa, all exploring our software solutions. You could probably tell from my accent already, but I'm born and raised in Essex, UK. I have been with Better Impact for just over 4 years now. And during this time, it has been a real pleasure helping and supporting people to achieve their goals, which is something I'm really passionate about. So yeah, it's a little bit about me. So just some of the benefits listed on your screen that we'll be taking from today's webinar. These will include common problems facing volunteer service teams. We'll focus on why the right software tools matter. And more specifically, we'll focus on the standard versus the enterprise edition and how that's explained, which will then lead on to me showing a high-level overview of volunteer impacts, the enterprise edition. And stick around towards the end because I will be sharing some resources, in particular one which is called a PDU certificate. PDU, if you're not too sure what that is yet, that stands for a professional development unit, sometimes also referred to as a CEC, which is a continued education credit. So yep, stick around towards the end. I'll be sharing that in a link with everyone. So the problem versus the solution. So just some of the problems that you may come across in your daily routines, which may have even led you to attend today's webinar. Some of these could potentially include too much data entry, having that daunting feeling of filling out forms or spreadsheets, whether it's for personal user information or for reporting purposes. Maybe it's using too many disconnected tools across your organisation or departments or locations, and just not having that all-in-one stop shop for your needs or having a streamlined platform to manage all this. Which ultimately leads me on to not having enough time to lead and engage with your volunteers, which, as you know, can lead to perhaps a breakdown of communications or perhaps lack of, interactions. And also finding affordable tools leadership will approve. We all know, everyone has a budget, right? And there are some affordable tools out there. And sometimes you may just have to consider, what is this costing your company in lack of software? Which hopefully you can bring to the table for your leadership team to even, start to look at and hopefully approve. And then lastly, having insufficient security for your confidential volunteer data, which is something we'll mention on the next slide. So hopefully, being that Better Impacts offers this all-in-one solution to manage volunteers and knowing that your data is safe and secure, hopefully, yeah, we have the solution for that. So protecting your volunteers' data. So how can you tell if a VMS vendor prioritizes data protection? One easy way is to look for the ISO certification. So ISO 27001 is the world's best known standard for information security management systems. ISO certification means that the VMS vendor respects all the best practices and principles enshrined in this international standard. So having the actual certificate rather than simply following the guidelines is an important distinction because it means the vendor has been audited by an independent body once a year to make sure all these standards are being met. And you'll be pleased to know that we are one of these vendors. We have ISO 27001 certification, and we are also Cyber Essentials certified. So why the right tools for the job matter? So more than half of all employees are unhappy at work because of the software tools they're using. Well, 51.95% says yes. Have you ever become dissatisfied at work due to missing or mismatched software? And just to let you know as well, all these stats have come from G2's 2019 State of Software Happiness Report as well. The link's in the bottom there, so feel free to check that out when you get some time. So this is quite an alarming stat. About 1 in every 8 employees has actually quit a job due to mismatched software. So yeah, food for thought there. So let's get you working with the tools that make you feel less frustrated, rather more empowered and productive when you do your job. And now we're going to turn over to the next slide and explore a little bit of what the enterprise software offers. So who uses the enterprise edition? These can be organizations that have multiple departments, locations, shops, or even branches where the volunteers are managed separately and the admins can only see, communicate with, and manage their own specific volunteers. So some of these organizations can be, as you can see on your screen, these could be, cities, boroughs and councils, could be libraries, hospitals, chapter organizations and schools. And that's just to name a few. Obviously, there's plenty more as well. And here on your screen are just some of our current members that are currently using the Enterprise Edition software. Now, as we are a global organisation, you can see some of our members here in the UK. So we've got some big names here, as in Shelter, the Natural History Museum, and the NHS, all using the Enterprise software. As well, as I mentioned, we are a global organisation, so we have customers all over the globe, particularly more in North America and Australia as well, with some of them listed on this page. So to begin with, in order to explain and showcase what the Enterprise Edition software looks like, we first have to understand the Standard Edition. So in order to do this, I just want you to focus on the diagram here, these people in the circle. These are you, these are the administrators. So whether it's you as a standalone admin or you have another colleague, this will be you. And below you are the group of volunteers that you manage. So as you log into your account, you can see your volunteer database, you can interact with them, communicate, and manage that group below you. You have unlimited admins you can add at your disposal. However, all admins can see all volunteer profiles. And also just to point out that this is our most common edition, which is ideal for, single location, department type organizations as well. However, if we're talking about an organization that has different locations or branches where the volunteers need to be managed separately, then the Standard Edition could be problematic. And one of those challenges could be, let's say, for example, communications. So if you want to send out a quick email to all your volunteers in a standard, then all volunteers in all your departments will receive that message, which may lead to, let's say, some miscommunication or even confusion as well. So another example could well be that your admins can see all the volunteer profiles across the whole structure of your organisation, but they don't actually need to access all volunteer profiles. This may well lead to perhaps GDPR issues at some point now or further down the line. So bear this diagram of you and your team that you manage in mind, as the next slide will show you the bigger picture of what an enterprise environment looks like. So here we are, the Enterprise Edition, where we are now part of that larger organization. If we take that image of you and your volunteers from the last slide, and just imagine that you are now this fire department, which are now called a sub-account within this enterprise, among many other sub-accounts. So as I log in, I can only see my fire department volunteers. So if I want to send an email to all my volunteers, it's only going to those in my sub-account. No one else from any other sub-accounts like the police or libraries or the parks department will receive these emails. I can't even see or access them other sub-accounts. So only at the top level here, which we call the enterprise administrators, can I access all profiles and manage these sub-accounts below as well. So as an enterprise administrator, I can also create templates such as custom fields, activities, and qualification templates, which I can then filter down for those sub accounts to use along with the branding. So I'm just creating this standardization across the whole umbrella of the organization. I'll be able to move volunteers across different or multiple sub accounts, and I'll be able to report across all these departments and regions as well. Talking of regions, I just wanted to point out as well that these grey middle tier here, these do represent the regions, which, by the way, is only available on our Enterprise Plus feature, where you can group sub accounts together, and you'll be able to report on these groups as well. And just like the standard, you will have unlimited admins at enterprise and sub account level as well. Another good example I like to use when showcasing standard versus enterprise is think of these sub accounts as separate standard accounts. However, you do have this enterprise or this central head office level above you. Each sub account has their own application forms, and you can even create different branding in each of these departments or locations if needs be as well. And depending on your structure, you may also wish to have a standalone sub account used as an application intake account as well, where the screening process can be managed and monitored at the enterprise level before the applicant is moved to their relevant departments for the admin of that account to then continue managing their screening process and probably turn them into an active volunteer. I just wanted to point out at this stage, before we move on to the demo, that if you're feeling like this Enterprise Edition isn't the right version for you, and you feel more structured around the Standard Edition, then I definitely recommend sticking around still, as you learn all the awesome features that Volunteer Impact offers, as only some of the functionality I'll share will be focused on the Enterprise. And just to let you know that, one version isn't better than the other. It's just which one best fits your needs for you and your organization as well. So moving on, I'm now going to show you a high level demo of Enterprise. So let me just share my screen. Excellent. So what you can see here is I'm an admin, and I do have access to the enterprise level and a couple of what we call the sub accounts. So here, I can log in to my enterprise level, and here I have access to the application intake account and the example City Museum. So we're going to focus on example City Museum. But first of all, I do want to show you what a public page looks like as well. So a public page is like your advertising page. This one you can see here on your screen is created at the enterprise level. Here at the top here, this is what we call your banner. So this is your branding at the top here. If we scroll further down, you can see you can share a news feed for everyone to see when they log into your public page, which you'll also be able to add this to your website. And then further down, showcase some featured activities. There's an About Us section, which is more like your mission statement. And we have a social media feed here as well. And now back up at the top. As an applicant, if I'm interested in volunteering, I could do a search based on keywords. So think of it as like you're looking for clothes on eBay and you want to filter from color, size, similar function here. So depending on your availability and your interests, you will be able to filter and search what's kind of key for you and interested in. So we've got volunteer opportunities. You can see these are all based on their sub accounts. You can see availability as well. However, if I go back up to volunteer opportunities, I'm going to click on example City Museum. And this will take me to that department's page as well. So on this page, I will be able to see everything that example City is showing in terms of current volunteer opportunities. So we've got guest services, special events, administration as well. There's some activities that you can make public. All I need to do, you see you can add loads of information, you can add images, to these opportunities. Now, if this has still piqued my interest, all I need to do now is click on here to fill in an application form. So as I mentioned, you'll be able to create an application form. This will also be branded by your organisation. Your application form will be combined of things like qualifications, there'll be custom fields, general interests as well. If you're not too sure what custom fields are yet, I like to call them your customised data collecting questions. So for example, these could be things like references, emergency contact information, what languages can you speak? So all I need to do is complete that application form. But first of all, there's 2 steps involved. Step 1 is I need to create what we call a My Impact page account. So this My Impact page account is your own volunteer profile, your own volunteer login portal. On here, you'll be able to sign yourselves up for any activities. You can see this in a list or a calendar format to sign up for. Very easy on the eye. You'll be able to log hours and any feedback fields required towards that activity as well. And also updating your own personal information if you move house or change telephone number, for example. And this is also app-based, the My Impact page. So you'll be able to download this for free on any Android or iPhone device, use it on the go. It's a really cool feature. So first of all, I'll just need to register with a username, password, and address to create that My Impact page account. Then that will take me onto the next step, which is to fill out your application form. And once I have completed and submitted that application form, I'm going to land in your account automatically as an applicant. So I'm going to go back to this screen here. So as I mentioned, we are showcasing the enterprise. So here at the moment, I do have enterprise level access with access to 2 other sub accounts. I'm just going to click on example City Museum. And here we go. So I'm presented with our dashboard. So this could represent a sub account. Alternatively, if you are a standard edition user, this will be what you see as well. If you are a standard user, then obviously you won't be able to toggle between enterprise level or another sub account. You'll just log in. It will take you straight to this page here in your dashboard. So as you can see on your dashboard, we've got some numbers in these bubbles or these circles. These represent your statuses of your volunteers, as it is an end-to-end VMS to manage your volunteers all the way through from the beginning to the end. So when they have completed your application form, they're going to land here as an applicant, and they will stay there until you determine where they go next, depending on your screening process. The next one along is the in process. So if you're just waiting to approve a qualification or a custom field, they can be sat here, and that's great because it does keep them separated from applicants, which is really cool for management purposes. The next one along, excuse me, is your accepted. So these are all your current active volunteers. These last 2 here, so we've got inactive. I like to call this the leave of absence status. So these are all your volunteers that are taking, maybe a long break from volunteering. It could be medical, maternity leave, but at some point will return back to your program. You can also manipulate if they're going to be short-term or long-term as well. And lastly, archived. So these are all your archived volunteers. The reason they're in the archived status could be that they haven't started for a while. You haven't heard from them. They could have moved on. They could resign, or maybe rejected at the start for your screening process as well. So that's a little bit about statuses. I'm actually going to click on one of these here. So we're going to click on, if I click on this number, it will bring up them 3 applicants. You can see there, these are all the applicants we've got in that status. And I'm just going to show you Henry Upshaw here. So all you need to do, click on this little grey box to the left-hand side to view their profile. So here we go. You can see Henry up in the banner bit here. He is an applicant, so he's in the applicant status. You can see he's already uploaded a profile picture. There's a quick snapshot of some contact information and history. If I go across these sub-tabs, under the main tab here, you can see all of these contact information. And you see all them flags means they're mandatory fields that Henry had to fill in upon applying. We've got the custom fields. So this is everything that Henry filled in upon the application form. As I've mentioned, you can customize these custom fields to grab as much data as you want from applicants, volunteers, and so on. You can manipulate what type of answers you want with custom fields as well. So things like drop-down menus, date fields, number fields, short text, long text boxes. You can also have a file upload as well, which is really cool. So if you do need to gather something like a DBS background check or driver's license or a CV upon application, choose a file, and that will give the applicant the opportunity to download that file. And when they have submitted their application form, this will create that profile for them automatically, and it will store all this information on their profile. There we go. You can group these together as well. Some of the custom fields, so references, for example, group information, and so on. You can see their qualifications. So there's a list of everything that Henry's filled in. So age range, he's 21 and older. He's filled in the qualification, how much can you comfortably lift, over 50 pounds. What's really cool as well, that you can add expiry dates to qualifications, which is great for auditing purposes as well, as we know a few of them, or a lot of qualifications do come with expiry dates. You can see Henry's general interests. So these are the kind of the want-ads, the kind of fields of interest that Henry's interested in. So guest services, special events, and gift shop attendant. You can also see his general availability. So this is something he would have filled in on the application form. We have this availability chart by default, where you could just select, mornings, afternoons, evenings, and nights on any day of the week. If we go out the top here, we've got a communications tab. So on here, I could just send Henry Upshaw an email. You can use an email template as well. So as he is an applicant, and I actually want him to complete his background check still. He hasn't completed that. So here's all the email templates. So I would have created these. They come in the drop-down format. And all I need to do is background check still needed. If he's still not completed this yet, he's coming as applicant, but this qualification is still outstanding. So I just need him to jump onto this to hopefully get him onto the next stage of in process or accepted. And there we go. Comes up with a first or last name placeholder as well. So just makes the email a little bit more kind of personal. So it'll be hi Henry, hi Daniel, hi Jane, hi Alex, for example. Once you send that email, that's going to land in the inbox of that volunteer, whatever he's registered with when he signed up. And you've got a personal message as well. So you can send Henry a personal message. This will only appear on Henry's dashboard on his My Impact page as well. There's an email history, a text message history, and there's a note log as well. So you can put anything here in the note log towards this particular applicant, Henry. It's only for admin eyes only, so the volunteer will not see this. So just anything, send Henry the request to fill in his background check, for example. That's good to know as well. As we've already mentioned, Henry now has this My Impact page account where he can, self-schedule, log hours, record feedback fields as well. But it's good to know that you can do everything on a volunteer's behalf as well. You can assign them up to shifts, just using the Assign tab. You can log his hours. You can log his feedback fields as well. So that's good to know that you can do everything on the volunteer's behalf as well. You can see his own schedule. You could just pull some reports on just Henry as well. So that's a little bit about the applicant profile. Now, when I click on this little house symbol here, it will take me straight back to the dashboard. And you will see, going back to the status section here, that you've got the system will flag up for anything that comes in, such as custom field approvals, qualification approvals, because you can set permissions on custom fields and qualifications, such as private, which is great for sensitive EDI information, read only, read write with approval, or without approval. So with approval, anything that has that permission, it will flag up here on your dashboard for you to go in to double check that's been approved, or even reject it if needs be. And that's the same with qualification approvals. If your qualifications do have an expiry date, they will flag up here when they're going to be expiring soon. As I mentioned, which is great for auditing, and this will just prompt you as an administrator to reach out to that particular volunteer to get them to renew that qualification if they haven't done so already. And just remember, you're only managing and seeing the volunteers in your sub accounts. You're not seeing anyone else's. So this is all for your eyes only as well. And hopefully they don't fall into this expired qualifications section as well, which, you know, may not make them eligible now for the role they're contributing towards. You've got hours approvals and volunteers on the clock. We have a cool feature called the time clock kiosk, where volunteers can log into the place of where they're volunteering with their username and password if you do have a device based at a place of work. And there's also another feature called Time Clock Kiosk Express, which allows your volunteers to kind of clock in, clock out using a QR scan code, which they can get from their My Impact page. And then you've got pending signups. So when you create these activities, you can have them where people can sign up for them and they're assigned, or some you may need to, let's say, cherry pick on an activity for who volunteers. You can have that. So if it does need your approval for them to be fully assigned, it will pop up here. And lastly, on the dashboard here, you can see pin searches. So this is a really cool feature, and it's a real great time saver as well. So basically what these mean, or what these represent, is lists of people that you generally gather within the database. This could be in just a list format or an email list. Let's say, for example, you're always reaching out to people that have a driver's license, for example. Create that list and you'll be able to save that in this list as well. And what's really good is that these are unique. So these pin searches are only unique for every administrator. So when I log in as an admin, I'll only see my pin searches. I won't see anyone else's, and the same with the others as well. So I'm actually going to show you a quick example of creating a pin search. So if we go to the communicate icon at the top here, it's great to know you can communicate with all your volunteers. Remember, just in this sub account, you can do that in mass, filtered groups, or just to individuals. You can text them as well, or create mailing lists. So when you want to send an email, just click on a send email, and the subcategories always pops up here on the left-hand side. You come to this filtering page, and let's just say you want to choose accepted, and you want to do a mass email, for example. Just press search. As we'll do, we're not filtering anything apart from what status. Press search, and there we go. It's brought up 216 accepted volunteers. And again, another great use of a template. As it's a mass email, maybe I'm doing something like a monthly newsletter, which I have saved here. And there we go. Let's bring up the first name placeholder again. You can add images, attachments, links into these email templates or any email. Once it's all good to go, send the email, and that's going to go out to them 216 accepted volunteers. But we're going to add a search criteria now. So let's go back to you want to reach out to everyone who has a driver's license. So when you click add search criteria, excuse me, it's going to bring up this drop-down menu. And you can see there's pretty much everything. As long as you have that data tracked and recorded within the software, you'll be able to filter out, pull up some lists. So as we mentioned, driver's license, which comes under a qualification. I'm going to choose qualification. All your qualifications will pop up here in this drop-down menu. I'm going to choose, do you have a driver's license? It's equal to yes. Then I'm going to select add and go. And there we go. 33 people were found with a driver's license. So all I need to do, I can obviously send an email again if I want to. If I want to save this search and pin this to my dashboard, all I need to do, select save, put in the title, drivers, for example. And all you need to do is check that box there that says pin search, save, and just like that, with a few simple steps, you've created this pin search, which is there. So that's great. And these update in real time as well. So you'll be able to, you know, when you create this search, if people met that criteria after you've created that search, they'll automatically be added to that list. So that's a great time saver there for all admins. If we're going to go, I can't show everything in the software right now because we're focusing on standard versus enterprise. You know, obviously you'll be able to create activities within a sub account as well. You can even use activity templates that have been created at the enterprise level. You can give them, you know, shifts, rotating shifts. You can manipulate who sees these activities based on their qualifications as well. And if you want to do some reporting, you then click on this report icon here. And again, it brings up everything here on the left-hand side. So again, as we are in a sub-account, or this could be a standard edition, you're only going to be reporting on your volunteers within this account, okay? So there's so much you can report on. So for example, on the left-hand side here, hours by volunteer. You can report over any date range as well. So I'm just going to do last year. This is volunteer hours within your sub-account. And there we go. Brings up the volunteer with the most hours at the top, right through to the bottom, the least, and it does give you total hours, number of volunteers, and average per volunteer as well, which all this information you will be able to export to CSV and Excel as well. Just show you another quick one. Hours trend. So not only do these reports come in like chart forms, they come in bar graphs as well. Again, you can choose any kind of start dates and time period, view report. And there we go. So showing number of volunteers, hours volunteered, and average per volunteer. And again, you'll be able to export this information as well. Okay, so what we're going to go on to now is the enterprise level. So first of all, if you can see here, we've got these arrows. If I was to click on that, and again, if I do have multiple access to different sub-accounts, my list of sub-accounts will be here, including the enterprise level as well from an enterprise level administrator. So example city, which is our enterprise level dashboard. I'm going to click here. And there we go. So now I'm at the enterprise level. So on this dashboard, if I have access, I can send emails to all volunteers throughout the whole organization. I can put up reports on all volunteers and all different regions and departments as well. I can create my own pin searches, the enterprise level dashboard as well, which is really great. So, for example, if I want to do a quick update email to all volunteers, or maybe something like a policy reading that all volunteers need to view and sign, for example, I can create that and I can send that email across the whole organization as well. Just to show you some other cool features on here. So you'll be able to see volunteer statuses across all organizations. There we go. So I can see, as I've mentioned before, some of these departments or locations, sub-accounts, they are in regions, which again is only a plus feature of ours. So there we've got the regions, the organizations that are not in a region, including that application intake account, and then you can see all the statuses within them. So applicant, in process, accepted, short-term, long-term, and all the reasons why. And again, I'll be able to export this information to CSV or Excel as well. So going back to the top here, click on reports. So now I'm at the enterprise level. I can pull reports across all these accounts, whether I want to do it in bulk or just at individual accounts. I'll be able to do that as well. So back on the left-hand side. So now if I click on to hours by volunteer and choose the date range again. So I'm just going to choose the same last year. View report. There we go. I have now seen all hours with all volunteers across all departments and regions. And again, from the top to the bottom, the least. And there we go. Brings up the total hours across all departments, number of volunteers, and average per volunteer. What's really cool is I'll be able to report on specific groups as well. So all I need to do, click on report on specific groups. Now, for example, I can choose a sub account, I can choose a region if I have that feature enabled. For example, libraries. If I just want to put a report on libraries, check that box. I can choose all, again, with that filtering page, I'll be able to choose, what status they are they accepted? Excuse me. All applicants, archived, and so on. Now, also at the top, as I mentioned probably at the very start, if I was to click on this configuration icon, I will be able to create this branding that I could use for standardization across the whole enterprise network. Depending on your structure, sub-accounts will be able to brand their own accounts as well, if needs be. And you can have the banner sliding between the enterprise and that sub-account kind of branding as well. You'll be able to create custom field templates. So you can have these for different departments to use. Maybe some custom fields are only going to be used for Parks and Recreation. Create them and have the Parks and Recreation region use them custom fields. And that's the same with activities and qualifications as well. So this is really good. You can have this for mandatory purposes as well. It's just a really cool feature. There we go. When you're in create activity templates, custom fields, and also qualifications as well. So moving on, while I'm on this page, I am going to quickly show you another volunteer profile. So I'm going to choose Veronica. She's our demo volunteer. As soon as you start typing the name, it will automatically bring up the profile. So here we go. Here's Veronica Smith. Now we've seen Henry in the sub account, and now who was an applicant. Now we're looking at Veronica Smith, who's an actual accepted volunteer. Everything's pretty much similar in terms of the layouts and what you can see. However, the only difference is you will have this extra tab here called organizations. So it's good to know that I can move Veronica from one account to another, or I can add it to multiple accounts. So if we have a look on this list down here, again, these are all the organizations within this enterprise environment. I can see that Veronica is a volunteer of the example City Museum. So that was the sub account. We've just shown a sub account or standard level as well. However, if Veronica decides that she wants to be part of the libraries, maybe the South Branch, I can add her to this organization as well. All the information will be carried over. She's just got the one profile still. However, there might be outstanding fields she will need to fill in when going into that account, such as qualifications or custom fields. That is particularly for that account of the libraries. Excellent. So that's just a little bit about enterprise and the sub-account level as well. But what I'm going to show you now is what it looks like from the volunteer's perspective as well. So I'm just going to move my screens over. And here we go. So again, I'm using Veronica Smith. So this is what the volunteer sees. So this is the My Impact page. Obviously, this is the desktop version, but she will be able to access this on the app as well. She's part of Example City Museum. So there we go. You can see she's got the branding of Example City Museum there as well. And just on here, you're going to see a lot of similar information. Perhaps saw on a account. I didn't go into details on Veronica that much, but here you can see there's again another profile picture that Veronica can upload. You can upload a profile picture on Veronica's behalf. You can see a quick snapshot of her upcoming shifts, guest services, information booth. You can see her volunteer hours this week, this year, her lifetime. What's really cool as well, that Veronica will be able to sync her calendar to her online email calendar as well, whether that's, Google, Gmail, Outlook, hotmail.com.co.uk as well. Another cool feature I didn't mention yet at all is badges. So you'll be able to create badges for all your volunteers for signs of recognition and awards. So these could be milestones such as, how many hours have they hit already? How many years have they been of service with your organisation? Maybe it's qualifications. as well. So any of these badges that are going to will appear on their profile here and on their profile back on the admin portal as well. We've got an image gallery, which is back to my Flickr feed. There's that personal message that I mentioned when I was on Henry's profile. If you send Veronica a message, only Veronica will see this message. You can say thanks for helping out lastminute.com. So not only have you got that news feed on the public page, but you also have a news feed on the My Impacts page portal as well. So all volunteers, when they log in, will see this, and this will all be associated, obviously, with the volunteers in example city, museum, sub-account. There's another mission statement at the bottom, and then bottom right here, you will be able to share files with your volunteers. These could be things like policy agreements, waiver forms, volunteer handbooks. You can choose just to have them for admin eyes only, or you can share these with your volunteers. It's what we call a document library, which is a cool feature you have in the admin portal. If you do share them with your volunteers, they'll have access to them here. Again, you have the social media feeds. We have X and Facebook. Back up to the top, I'm just going to go through some of these tabs. So as I stuff for me to possibly sign up for, and again, as I mentioned previously, you can see this in a list or a calendar format. I'm just going to choose calendar. And there we go. Now, if I want to check in or I want to sign up for information booth attendant, you just click here. There's the information on this particular activity, and I can sign up there, and I'm assigned to the activity. And again, as I've mentioned, I will only be able to see, depending on your visibility settings when you create an activity, it could be that I only see activities that I'm, as a volunteer, are qualified for. If I'm not qualified for any, I won't be able to see them on my calendar here for me to sign up for. I can see my own schedule here, so anything up and coming. I can also download and print this off my calendar if I want something tangible by hand to put on the fridge, for example. I can do that. I can see, actually, this is where I log my hours, so the hours tab. So if I've just come back from an activity, let's say information booth attendant, I put in the date, the hours I've contributed, and feedback fields. So this is something you'll create from scratch. It's a blank canvas, just like your custom fields and your qualifications. So feedback fields, when you create these, it's a great way just to keep on top of, that volunteer's experience on how do they feel on that activity. When you create these feedback fields, and when you create the activity, link the two together. So when I when I log in my hours, I'm prompted to relay any feedback fields as well. There we go. I've got a long text box there, drop-down menus, and number fields as well. I can report on just myself if I want to see all my current hours over the past year in a bar graph format. I can see that. I can just hover over the hours over the month to see how many hours I've contributed. If I want to contact an administrator, this is where I can do this. So select the administrators that I am in contact with, subject, send the email, and that will go to the inbox of the administrator. And lastly, my profile. So on here, I can see my own contact information, my additional information. So this is all the kind of everything that I filled in on the application form, plus any extra custom fields that you created as an administrator, along with qualifications and training as well. So another cool feature we offer and have enabled in the software is the e-learning modules as well. So e-learning modules is an online learning content for your volunteers to take. This could be, you can add things like images, GIFs, videos, links to these as well. And I'll just show you what one quickly looks like. The training hand hygiene. So this is the 30-second hand washing rule, which we introduced on the cusp of COVID. As you see there, we've added GIFs. You can add as much content and information in this as well. And you can set a little test or quiz at the end. So this is great for orientation. This is great for just getting people to read and sign acknowledgements and things like that. You can also attach qualifications to these e-learning modules as well. And admins will be notified as of when a volunteer has completed this as well. So you can set a kind of pre-populated answers. If they get it wrong, they can retake as many times as they like. You can set a passing score on there as well. So excellent. So let's go back to the slides. So you've seen a high level view of better impact at enterprise and sub account level. I just want to let you know a little bit about Better Impact's story and why people love Better Impact. So Better Impact actually started by fluke. Our CEO Tony's passion project of building a web-based volunteer management software solution for residential hospice he founded actually birthed the beginnings of a global We're Here to Help company. We're about 20 years old now and growing. We're a small company, but we do have a global impact. We have offices here in the UK, Canada, USA, and Australia, but we have customers all around the globe. We specialize in volunteer management software, volunteer impact, but we are also providers of donor, client, and member solutions that also integrate with volunteer impact as well. And lastly, we're a here to help company.